Welcome to the doghouse. I hope you're all having a great day. It looks like this is working. Don't know how long. Never know on here. Hope this goes good. I'm just trying out new things, is all. Yesterday I tried it and I messed up and I did about 15 minutes and went and checked. Didn't have nothing. This is just open chat for whatever. There is no rhyme or reason to this. This isn't about me, it's about everyone. I'm just here to have some fun, and that's it. Hope you're all having a great day. It's only 70 here today, which is good. At least at this time, it's 70. Later on, who knows? It's kind of interesting. You got all kinds of stuff going on in our lives, and I guess that's the way that is too. Can't get around that, can we? It's just open chat, like I said. And there's a few things I want to bring up. One is trust. Some people are having a trust issue with others. It's nothing new in life, it happens all the time. And when you have them issues, you start to second guess yourself and second guess the other person. Not a lot you can do about it in the long run, but in the short run, you can sure try to prevent it wherever you can because we all should get along. You don't have to like each other, but we all should be able to get along. If you can't get along, you just walk away. Sometimes when you try to confront things, the problem is that what you're confronting has nothing to do with what reality is because you go after what other people say and you start to believe what other people say. And when you do that, you get in trouble. I've been down that road. I've heard somebody say something about me, and I'm like, what? Why would he do that? Then I come to find out about it. The person that told me that, and this has happened more than once, wasn't the truth. And we probably all go through that, but we fall for it all the time. You think when we grow up, we wouldn't be falling for it, but we do. It's sad, but we have to fall for that. I guess that's just part of life, but it sucks. I've accused people of doing stuff they didn't do because somebody else had said it. And that person that said it never said it. But in my mind, and we all do it, but in my mind, that was said until I found out different. Then you feel like an ass when that happens. So sometimes you you gotta trust but verify, which sounds dumb, but you really do. When you go out and you have to see what's really going on. Because sometimes you get in a situation where you think somebody's helping you out, and all of a sudden it comes out from other people this person's doing this, this, and this, and it's all wrong. And the people that are saying this have other alternative motives, and it could be money or whatever, but they really don't care. They're turning that person against somebody else. That's what they like to do sometimes. And there's people out there that do that. And once again, there's not much you can do about it, but you can listen and observe. Sometimes when you're closer to people, you have to have that trust. That trust is very important in our lives. Sometimes we don't realize how much trust we need from a person. But you know what? Without that trust, we really are in a bad spot because we need trust. We want trust. And like I said, this is no rhyme or reason. I'm going to say whatever. You guys can say whatever. But this is sometimes we have to trust, we have to verify. But sometimes when we trust somebody, they decide to take advantage of you intentionally or unintentionally. If it's unintentionally, it's probably corrected pretty good. But if it's not intentional, it can do harm. When you trust people, you expect the same both ways. You trust them, they trust you. And that's what we should be doing. But we don't always do that. Our minds play tricks on us and will lead us down to the wrong road, the road we shouldn't be going down at all, but we will go down it. And I don't know why we do it, but we will do it. Another thing is greed. Sometimes the people you trust, their alternative motives are for greed and nothing else. And sometimes you can get another person involved and changes the whole thing around. Greed exists, trust exists. Usually, when greed gets involved, it's about money. Not always, but the person sometimes have alternative motives. It's sad, but it's true. They do. And to some point, we all have had alternative motives to do things to try to push it our way. And we find out we catch ourselves doing that. Sometimes our motives are not what we think until we start to think about what we are doing, and then we're in the wrong. And I've done that. I've been in the wrong. My alternative motive was something good. This happened several times, but in reality, it wasn't good. And that's on me. And that's on the person that does that. These alternative motives can be good and bad, but you as an individual have to come out and figure it out for yourself. If you have an alternative motive, that's on you. You can't blame somebody else for it. And yeah, people prey on it. People prey on the weak. They prey really hard on the weak because you can get weak people to go along with you and it not be right. They could be doing something right with somebody else and it's 100% right. But when you're a weak person, people with alternative motives will come in and change your mind. Where your first thought this person or persons are helping you, then a guy or gals come in and convince you otherwise, then you have to ask yourself, why would they do that? Could it be for money? Majority of the time it is, but there's people out there that do that just because they're evil and vile people and they care less about the money. They just want to see a person that is doing good get cut down. People that are helping a person, these other people want to cut them down. It's jealousy when this happens. And I'm sure all of you have seen it around your area where you live. This is not just a YouTube thing. This is everywhere you go, this happens. People really do have alternative motives, and sometimes they know exactly what they're doing and they want to hurt. They want to say, well, I will help you. I will do this for you. Their motives isn't to help you. It's to drag you down and make you look bad in the end. And this does happen. I'm sure every one of you, including myself, have people do that. I've actually done it not knowing it and apologize for it. But I've had people do that to me, and I've started to go down that road. Go, what? And it's not true. So when people have alternative motives, you really, really have to pay attention to what's going on. I've seen people that had really good motives on here, and people turn around and try to hurt them. And other persons listening to the wrong thing that they shouldn't. That's on here. And I've had that happen to me too. I used to, one neighbor I got a few houses down, he'll tell you anything to your face, how good and everything the world is, but he will, you know what, to your back every time you walk away because he has to make himself look good. And some people that have alternative motives, that is a lot of it. They have to look good. If they have to take other people down with them, they will. And that's sad. I've seen it on here, somebody trying to help another family. Others get involved that have nothing to do with it to try to destroy the somebody. And when the person that started this stuff's a very good person. I've seen that on there. I've even seen it with family members doing the exact same thing. And sometimes you get people that'll play each other. In other words, they'll play, one guy will say, our girl, don't matter. Well, this person said that. This person turn around, this person said that. And when it comes out, neither one of them said it. That's just people trying to start crap that don't need started. And that also goes back to alternative motives involved here. And, and yeah, I worked with a guy. He'd tell two or three people something completely different what the other person said. And this guy was very, very good at it. And people, he was so good when he would do that, they would believe him. Then a place I worked at, a retirement center, as a maintenance guy. And this is funny. This is what he was doing, but sad in a way. He would go in, and there was a lot of single ladies. He wasn't chasing after them. He would do something or get something from somebody, then tell somebody else something different, or the other person something, and get him to fight and argue. Then he'd walk away. That's a old man with alternative motives. He really was do that too all the time, and them females would follow for it in a heartbeat. Most of them was from, I'd say, mid 60s to the 80s, and he knew how to play them. No, he wasn't getting no money by doing it or anything like that, but he was good enough. He knew how to play people. And sometimes when you have alternative motives, you're very, very good at playing people. You're very good at turning people against each other. And you just don't realize it until it's too late. So, yeah, alternative motives still play a big part in what we do. I keep going back to that, even though I'm saying stuff about other things, but it really does come back to alternative motives we have in life. Instead of thinking of the good things, your alternative motive doesn't think of the good things. Why don't we think more of the good things? Why don't we go out and tell people please and thank you more? Why don't we do the good things in life and go forward. I realize when you say please and thank you and you're courteous to other people, if you're on a paid site or where you can make money, that's not going to make you money. That's going to do the opposite because people like conflict. Me, I like to see people happy, loving people. This is very important to me. I, I'm not a good looking person. I'm not anything like that. I'm not a vicious person, but I like to see people happy. Yes, I get mad. My wife says I'm stubborn, which is probably true, but I love helping people. That's me. That's just things I do. Some of this I'm going to be talking about is things I do and hope you guys do good things too. But I love helping people out. I, although the place I got now, I was working for the guy and I'd already owned a trailer. And then one day he goes, "Why don't you go find you something different that you're not paying lot rent and get you another place?" He says, "I'll loan you the money for it." And that's exactly how I got the place I had. I was working for it. Well, in reality, he come out ahead all the way around because he bought me the place, or I paid him interest on the money he loaned me. So, and I worked for him, so he was getting free work out of me, which was fine. And all that, what I'm saying that for is because I treated him, his wife, very, very decent. I went out of my way to help him when I could, even before worked for him. And even when I worked for him, if we had downtime doing extinguishers, and I was cleaning off his leaves off his roof, helping him with his garden, not on the clock, because I liked doing that for him. And I was doing that before he even went to work for him. Some of his in laws didn't really care for it too much, but the kids appreciated it because they weren't in a position they could do that. So I give them myself to help somebody. And I've done that a lot. Matter, a matter of fact, I've had, well, both places, I've had three females. I let them have a room and they'd had to pay me money, their own room and everything, until they got back on their feet. They were in a position that they had nowhere to go. I give them an opportunity to grow and have their place. All three of them got their own place eventually. It wasn't that long, but two of them, one my wife used to go to school with, another it was just a lady getting out of prison. Yeah, and I give her a place to stay until she got on her feet. That one was a little bit hard to handle, but the other one was my son-in-law's sister. She didn't have no place to go, so we opened our house up to her, and she to this day appreciates that. So yeah, I go out of my way to help people, not by saying so, but by actions. So do they people take advantage of me because I've done that? You better believe they'll take advantage of me, and they do all the time. But guess what? I'm doing what I have to do, what I think's right. And I get people taking advantage of me all the time like that, but that's okay. because I know what I'm doing is right. That's just me, what I like to go out and do for people. And I love it. I love going out and doing that for people. Because you got to learn in this life, you have to give of yourself to get anything back. Even though I didn't expect anything back, I give of myself because that's what I'm supposed to do. Even though somebody takes advantage of it, I'm still going to do that. And I see a lot of other people do the exact same thing. And sometimes when you help people, you get slapped in the face for helping them. Guarantee you that. But you still have to do it. You still have to go forward and do it. Otherwise, we're not a very prosperous society. In other words, we all got to move forward and we should move forward. We shouldn't take a back seat to anybody. We should always move forward. Now I'm going to talk about lies for a minute. You know, people who get on here tell lies. We tell lies and all the time. Not all the time, but it does come out. Not on here, but in our lives. We don't mean to sometimes, but we do. Of course, the lie I like to tell is I caught a fish and it was so big it took two pictures to get it in the whole fish to show it. And a guy that had a funeral home, someone that told me that. So now I have to use it. But in reality, when you go out and lie, you have to tell another lie to cover up for the lie. Then you tell another lie to cover up for that lie. And this is anybody that goes out there and does this. And I'm not just talking about here, just everyday life. When you do this stuff, eventually it'll catch up with you. I have a relation that she's a compulsive liar. She does not know how to tell the truth. Even if it helped her, she wouldn't tell the truth. She would make up a story and it would make it look bad where the truth was there and it wouldn't have hurt her a bit to tell the truth because it was a good thing. But she has a tendency to want to flip and twist and everything around to make it look better for her, I guess. But yeah, she's not above going out and telling a fib on a perfectly good thing that happened. It don't matter her. Her lies is her life. And it really is. Now I'm sure some of you have seen people like that too. It, it's not funny, but it's funny when these guys do that. I got a neighbor, he does that too. He's not going to tell the truth. He'd rather tell the lie or a whopper story to make himself look good. And it's not needed, but it still happens. And like I said, this one relation of mine does that all the time. See, I get along with my family. I half brother and a half sister. Then mom had 10 kids. So we all get along. We're so far apart though that some of us are closer than others just because of that many kids. But as kids, we tell lies to each other or whatever as kids to your siblings. But at some point, you have to grow out of that, or you should grow out of it. Some don't. And, you know, Oh, I'm talking now about making money. Making money on here. I haven't even made $100, so I don't get anything, and I do mostly shorts, so that's where, and you're not going to get much of anything off of there. And I like doing that, but there's so many people out here on here that they will do anything in this world to tell a lie, to put people down for the dollars in their pocket. They will do this on a constant basis. They love they love going out and doing everything in this world to get that money. They don't care about the people they hurt. They don't care about the people they walk on because that money in their pocket is who they're faithful to. They're not faithful to their God. They're not faithful to anything else but the dollars. Even if you're their friend, if they make $1, they will run over you. They will change their attitude because somebody's offering some money or more views or whatever. So they will go that direction. They're so money hungry that it's a shame. I think everybody should make as much money as they can on here if that's what they so desire. A lot of us isn't going to make money or no money on here, which is good. I'm not jealous of that because I want people to make money. You don't have to lie, deceive, and destroy people's lives to get the dollar. If you're doing that, the only God you have is a dollar bill. And it's sad that people are willing to do that. At least in my opinion, it's sad because I see it on here. I've seen people be nice to somebody and all of a sudden they see dollar signs, so they jump ship and go the other way. It has nothing to do with ethics or anything else. It has to do with they figured out a way to get money and they don't care how they do it as long as they do it. And they will do that. And they do that. And once again, I hope, and I haven't, I got to admit, a whole lot of people don't do that. But there are some out there that do that more than what should be doing that. They will do anything in this world to destroy somebody if they think it'll put money in their pockets. And when it's their time to go to the next life, I wonder what their excuse is going to be and how they think they're going to con a certain person. I don't think it's going to work. No, I'm not this great, wonderful person. I guarantee you that. I do things that I shouldn't do. No, I've never been to prison, never been to jail. That's true fact. But we all do things in life we shouldn't do. But sometimes there's people that do a whole lot more than that because they want to destroy people around them. And you're in the way of, if you get in their way, they will take you down with them. And they have no qualms of doing that at all. Because if you're in their way, all they see is that dollar sign. You mean nothing to them. Even if you're their friends or whatever, you mean nothing to them. You're just there as a stepping block for what they want to do. Even if you're out there and this person's doing good and other person's weak and changes side, even though the person that was doing good did nothing wrong, and the other person convincing another this weak person to follow them, they care less about them. They'll make money off of them, and they'll do many things that shouldn't be done. And it's a shame that that happens. I guess it goes back how you're raised too. I wasn't raised to be disrespectful. I don't talk about that too. I was never raised to be disrespectful. If I did not like somebody or cared for them, I still had to respect them as a child. If I did not respect them, I'd get a spanking. Not a beating, a spanking. And to me, them are two different things. Because my mom and dad really emphasized respect on others. And we did have respect for people. Maybe I have too much at times because sometimes, like I said earlier, I let people take advantage of me. But we had to have respect as a child. Now, like I said, 12 kids, my dad, 10 of moms. None of us has ever been to prison. All of us was spanked, every one of us, but not beaten. I got a sister-in-law, a couple of her kids been to jail, one to prison, and one out. She didn't believe in any of that. Only one out of the three hadn't got in trouble like that. And I talked to other people. It's the same story. That story don't change. Most people are good people, even them that go to prison. I've known people and worked with some that are really, really good people. You can ask them. One of them I worked with even said that. Well, if I was disciplined as a child more, I may have not have done this. He admitted it was his fault he did it. Not much. I, you need them goats, John. My wife told me I couldn't get one for my yard. She's being mean. She thinks I can mow the grass and forget about the goats. So how you been, John? What's for dinner tonight? I'm fixing some chicken fried steaks tonight, potatoes, and a vegetable. Seeing I do, I'd say probably 98% of the cooking around here. Oh, tacos again. That's good. I had them last night. I had hard shell tacos last night. That sounds good, John. Sounds like a good plan. That's what I need is, well, I like to cook. That's one reason I do it. But and that's no lie when I say I cook that much. I really do that much. Hi, MK. You know, and here's what I did as a kid growing up. We had to be on the school bus a little after 7 o'clock in the morning. And like I said, we had a long ride because we was out in the middle of nowhere. But like the weekends and that, if we wanted something different or whatever, mom would tell us, okay, there's a stove, go cook it. So I was cooking from a young age. She wouldn't do that when we was getting ready for school or nothing. She had breakfast during the week and even on the weekends. Uh, Dinner ready when we got home because after that long bus ride, it got a little bit hectic at times. Yes, no lie. From where I lived to junior high and high school was almost 50 miles one way. That's not a joke. That was reality. I miss it. I miss the area because, you know, it's out in the middle of nowhere. I could do what I wanted. Yeah, MK, that was tough, especially the winter time. Here's what would happen because and the short bus jokes, okay. But part of the where we were at, because we was in the upper part of the county, we'd get on a short bus, the whole thing. Nobody was an exception unless in junior high or high school you drove. But you go to Howe, then you'd get on the big bus and go to Arco. Then from Arco back to Howe, then you get back onto the short bus. But I tell you what, in the wintertime, my dad and the neighbor had it down packed. My neighbor and my dad had it down packed. If that bus was not there at a certain time, they were taking two four-wheel drive pickups chained all the way around to pull the bus out of wherever it slid off the road. And that was a every year occurrence. Yeah, my mom cooked good. Matter of fact, she cooked at a one-room schoolhouse for us for a while too, and people loved her food. But her idea was her kids were going to learn how to cook. And I tell you, and it's a good thing. John probably admit it too. It's a good thing you learn that stuff. So many people don't anymore. Yeah, them bus rides were definitely a different deal altogether. You could get a lot of your homework done before you got home, but that was the good part of it. We go out and do what we had to. I loved living on a ranch, so that's what was a ranch. At, at points, there was sheep involved too, but the one place the guy had two ranches where we were at were the cattle, and the other was, well, both places were sheep. He had them divided up so you weren't running them in the same areas or anything. But I tell you what, I can't stand mutton. All that mutton is an old sheep. Hello, Debbie. Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize that when it comes to sheep, if they're like a year old or younger, that's lamb. When you get up there in age with them, it's called mutton. And mutton is definitely more greasy than the lamb because the lamb is younger. It's still greasy, but it's not as bad. But we had all the sheep we wanted to eat. Throw in a cow here and there or a pig, but the majority of the time was sheep, mutton, because he'd keep them 5, 6 years, and he said, "Well, get rid of them because lambing was getting close to the end." So he'd say, "Use these for meat," and he'd do the same thing. Everybody was supplied with lamb growing up, or mutton. I don't think we really ever had lamb. I have had lamb, but on the ranch, he always kept older sheep around for that purpose. We all learn things as we get older, or reflect, we reflect when we get older on some of the things we do. Some of it's pretty interesting. Like me, in the wintertime, I'd go out with the 22, shoot jackrabbits. Now, that was because they'd destroy a haystack, and there was so many around when we were growing up. When I was growing up, I wasn't smart enough to figure when I shot them. Yeah, the problem with mutton is it gets so. I love mutton chops, but after they sit in the fridge and you do them the next day, I can't stand them. They're too greasy. As a kid, it was like, ew, all that grease. Same way with the mutton roast. I'd eat it when it was hot, but leftovers, not that there was any less grease, it's just you tasted it more the second time. I love deer. I love venison. We go out and get them. Unlike now, when the guy had sheep, and the game warden was the one that told the sheep herder this. Says if you see somebody deer with a broken leg or something, shoot it. And he would and wind up at the house. Then I've shot my share too growing up for food. Now the things I wouldn't eat out of it was I didn't like the heart. Oh, leg of lamb with garlic is good. Never tried it with the lemon peel, but I bet that's good too. Because like I said, I love it when it's hot and that. It's just the seconds that kind of get to me on it. Thanks, Dave. I'm doing good, Dave. Wife goes in for knee replacement on the 18th. Kind of, I know that it'll go good, but I always worry. It looks like they don't have to do they're going to replace the knee, but not a whole lot of reconstructive stuff. So they figure she'll be there just overnight. I can come pick her up in the next morning. It still sucks, but she just had gallbladder removed 2 months ago. So I hope you're doing good. Thanks, Dave. Well, I've got OSB to where I can put this picture on without my face, but I have no clue what I'm doing outside that. Don't even know how to operate it. Yesterday I did it and started doing a podcast and I shut it off, see what was going on, and the mic wouldn't work. I was just reading the chat there for a second. I hope you, yeah, I hope Harley's doing great. I hope Dave's doing great. I like to see people do good. I'm waiting for Dave to come up and do more. I know it's hard for him. It's hard for me. I jump on when I can. It's hard when you go through crap like John's going through, and there's no doubt. You know, I can see people not getting along. That's life. But what's going on there is about the dollar, and that's sad. Not that you want to make money. Everybody wants to make money. But when you doing this for dollar reasons to hurt others, it's just sad. It shouldn't happen. I mean, to some point in our lives, we all go through that, but we don't, but we can overcome it and we have to overcome it. Like Super Dave, he's gone through a lot, but he always overcomes it because he is a fighter. John is a fighter. They're not going to put either one of them two down. And that's what you have to do when evil looks you in the face. You have to fight him because that's all you can do. Because bullies and narcissists don't care about anything but themselves. And the only thing you do is fight back. You don't have to go out and stalk them or anything else, but you just have to fight back. Yeah, Dave, I know there's some weirdo people out there. And you can be as positive as you want, and some of these people will come after you anyway. And with this one certain person, I don't care what you do, if you back off of him and don't mention him no more or her, still going to come after you. Yeah, some of these people, Dave, are just rude. They really are. All they see is the dollar signs, and that's all they care about is the dollar signs. And it's sad. I wish they could improve and do better because here's what happens. You can do anything and it don't matter to them. They are still going to try to cut you down. And that don't matter who it is. That's what they do. They are willing to destroy others for that dollar. And they will. And you don't even have to look on here. You can look just around you. People do that all the time. It makes you wonder why they do it. The only thing I can think of is the word called evil. Yeah, Dave, I miss you too. Yeah, yeah, and Dave, I'm gonna have to get with you on that deal I was talking about, the guy that went to prison for unaliving somebody and found out it wasn't him through DNA. Then he went down to Vegas, and he's the one that was killed by the ex-wrestler, Christopher Tapp. I never really knew him too. I'd see him around. I knew some of the people he hung around with, but that was a strange deal altogether. And, and the false flag thing, this is something I've really tried. And I know it goes on, nobody cares. Yeah, one person that really got into that, Dave, was they're called Judges for Justice, and they cleared up a lot of cases. It, I can't remember. There's 3, 4, maybe more judges that are got together and was going to fight them was not that was put into prison that should have never been there. Judges for Justice. And one of the reasons I do think, and this is all in my opinion, and just from some of his friends that told me, is he did have a rug problem. That was before he got sentenced to jail. Yeah, that'd be an interesting interview, Dave. I'd listen to it. Even though a lot of them I put off. I go to coffee every morning. Sometimes you're on just about the time I'm leaving, so I wait a little bit to go to coffee and listen to you. That's my day. Every day I go have coffee at the truck stop. Yeah, evil, and I've said this on other podcasts. Yeah, the place I go actually has a real restaurant in it, unlike some truck stops anymore. Their ham, dinner plate, their ham fills up the dinner plate. Truckers stop in there because they'll eat part of it, then they'll take the rest and make sandwiches out of it the rest of the day or the next day when they're driving. So he sells a lot of that. Yeah, yeah, I gotta have my coffee. I usually do that, go get things done I need to get done, then hang around the house with my wife. I should say I come out in the doghouse and she stays in the house. But I'm here if she needs anything, and that's the most important thing. Her, she went to a family reunion last weekend. I stayed home. I don't do family reunions. Not because I hate them, I just don't like to go to them. So her and her one sister took her to it, and yeah, I like my doghouse. It's even insulated. I'm thinking about, I haven't done it. I did some research last year on it because it does get cold here, obviously. Is put one of them diesel heaters in there that I can stick outside and bring it in the line inside, and it does pretty good. People are using them in their campers and stuff like that. And I was thinking, one of them diesel deals would probably work pretty good because right now I use a propane tank and a heater on it. Then when it gets warm, I shut that off and use the electric heater once because I don't leave the heat on here all night. I'm too cheap. I mean, I'm frugal. Yeah, yeah, that big thing I do is try to get it warm. Then I do the heaters. Or I got one heater. It's one of the copper heater type deals. But I thought about getting the floorboard type and doing it that way too. But I don't have to worry about it at night. Like I say, I just shut it off. I have to go out in the morning before I go have coffee and warm everything up though, and makes time I get back it's warm enough. Some of them you do, some you don't. It depends on the brand. The one I've looked at them, they've just been interesting to me because there's the one I know their brand is all 12 volt. There's another brand out there you could either use a 12 volt or it's inverted over to 120. Obviously, it's not 120 when it comes out, it cuts it down. But I've looked at pictures and that of both of them. Yeah, that's the problem I've found out from doing the research on it, Dave, is although they're great, the can and the lines can be not so good. Another thing I've heard about them is, and it's not all of them, you have to watch it. Some of the really cheap ones, the muffler they have on it is really, really loud. And that's what I don't need. I'd have to put it up my window. Well, I got the air conditioner there now. I've had the window in there all most of the time. I'd have to redo it and put it in where the window is. Only got one window, so it makes it kind of dark. Yeah, I seen a YouTube video one that ticking noise. I don't even remember what brand it was. Holy hell! So all you could hear was tick tick tick. Yeah, I don't like the ones I've seen with the intake and the exhaust the same area. I pretty much figured if I get one, I don't know that I am, but if I did get one, That's something I don't want. Because the air intake next to the exhaust, at least in my opinion, is not a very good idea. Not even close to being a good idea. Especially if you're doing the whole thing, and I'd make me a box and do it outside, but still, you'd have to be really careful. That's why I've still been looking at them. They look nice. They put out the heat, but I keep looking at stuff like that on them. Is it really good work for me? Yeah, see that's the one I thought out of all of them I looked at was a better one of them. That's just it. Some of them Chinese ones you look at, I don't even know how they run because they're very cheap. And them are some of the ones that tick the loudest too. But I might not get it this year. Like I said, I got a propane tank. I get it hot and I turn the heater on afterwards. You know, the van life thing, that's an interesting concept. Now, some people said they couldn't live like that. They can't go out in the middle of nowhere and live. Hell, I grew up out in the middle of nowhere. So I wouldn't necessarily want to do it. I could. I mean, it's interesting stuff. Cheaper living. But my problem is I want a home base where everything's at. That's what I probably should do, but I'm not sure how to set up the goals. Some of this stuff I'm still learning because I don't know. See, that's what I'd like to do. I've seen areas I wouldn't mind, but I want a piece of ground there and do it. Because, some areas it'd be okay. And I know people around here that live in a camper, I mean, a fifth wheel, some RV, but because it's cheaper for them. But their heating bill is outrageous in the wintertime. And and in some areas it'd be fine. I wouldn't mind a fifth wheel or a RV, well, getting a little cabin built. Now they're doing that. My doghouse is what these designs come off of. The builders that started these type of sheds, and they build them up to homes now or tiny homes. This is the concept that I have. They've used. They 1,000% improved on it, but that's where it comes from. Is this shed I'm have my doghouse in, and it's 10 by 16. I should say 8 by 16. The one I keep my tools in is a 8 by 12. When I bought the place, He told me just to keep them because he wasn't going to move them. Yeah, I love watching the docking movies and or not movies, but podcasts. And we, as a human being, we do this a lot. We go out and we buy all this shit, we buy it, and we'll go, why in the hell we buy it for? That's why I tell people in another one, if sometimes I need a specialty tool or a tool that I'm not going to use very much or maybe once or twice. So we got a place that does online auctions here. If they have one really cheap and I can get it, and I've got a couple of things from them, then I'll do it that way. I won't go spend full amount for something I'm not going to use as a whole. I mean, I buy shit I shouldn't even buy, then I wonder why I buy it. Yeah, I wouldn't mind having a piece of ground and doing one of the longer bully barns. I call them bully barns. They're sheds. The original name was bully barns. That's what I have. And I'd love that. I mean, I seen one, and it was in Arizona somewhere. They, I'm taking it was like 16 by 32 or 10 by 32, something like that. I remember it was 32 inches long. Then he had another one there. He put his washer and dryer and stuff like that in his other one. He even had a freezer in his other one. And he was mostly off of solar, but he had a propane backup generator system. And he said where he was at, the solar did pretty much everything. If it got cloudy or whatever, then he'd use the other. But yeah, you go out. I don't. I spend my most of my time in my doghouse, and it could have been a 14 by 32. See, that's what I want. I want do it that way. I want one with a small porch out front. Yeah, some of these areas, like there's a few areas like in Arizona, they kind of encourage these type of homes. They're out in the middle of nowhere, yeah, but and solar is good, but where I'm at, wintertime it wouldn't be as good. People use them here, but you'd have to have an alternative around here. Because around here it can get below zero, and it has, and always will, and cloudy. But yeah, a person can really live cheap. Now I don't have a lot of money by any means. The only thing I got going for me, what I do have, is paid off. And it always kind of worries me. See, that's what one thing, if I was really looking for a spot, now I'd love that. But if I was really looking for a spot, that's one thing I'd want to look at is water table levels and what's the ground like to go through it. Because they do have, and some of them here it works pretty good. I wouldn't want to buy one, but if you're just doing a little one and not putting a big pump or anything on, some areas you can drill your own. I mean, you're only doing it with a maybe a 2 inch, 2.5 inch pipe going down, and then they put a pump on it to pump it out. But I think, see, that's what I like. Even though I'm living in town, I hate it. I don't hate living here, but I hate how it's growing. And eventually they're going to push me out. I'm getting apartments on one side of me, apartments on the other side, and eventually they're going to take out this area I'm in. And there's no doubt, hopefully, long time from now, but they're going to work on that one. They have put in Idaho Falls hundreds of, I shouldn't say hundreds, but it would add up to over hundreds. They're putting apartment buildings all over this town. They're putting apartment buildings where you think it'd be commercial. The place where I'm at, where they put some in, nobody ever wanted it. That property, and I used to work for the guys that owned it, is because they didn't want to blast and drill the lava rock. Now the lava rock's nothing to them. The only thing that was interesting, you can tell when when they blast the lava rock, you can tell when somebody did it right and did it wrong, because when it was done right, it's just a pop, pop sound. When they did it wrong, the whole area would shake. Then the supervisor would have to go around and see if anybody's windows broke. Well, in Idaho Falls, from what I get, I've never went to the zoning thing. They're not building whole homes, they're building apartments. You can go out in the county and build a home in that, but the city is really pushing apartments over a single dwelling homes. Yeah, there's quite a few businesses that are building up around here too. Uh, they must be anticipating around here something coming in here. They have a huge government site here that they're not doing a lot, but a couple of projects that they're thinking about they want to put out here. Whether they do or not is another story. And the funny thing of it is that big government site was in the majority of it's in the county I grew up in, not in the county I am in now, but they all work out of Idaho Falls to the site. Well, around here, what they're doing, you have at least the apartments. What they're doing around here is they're putting them in for just put this for different types of government housing, as far as uh, on welfare and that. And I'm not against anybody on welfare, by the way, but where they get a discount, stuff like that. A lot of these are putting them in for low income, which is great for them, but it's taking up a lot of room. And yes, around here, big corporations. And some of them are really getting greedy, though, on building them. But some of these around here will go, if they do anything out to the site, that's what we call it here, it's a site. They're going to live here, not in Arco. Because here's the funny thing around here. That's Butte County, and that's where I grew up. It's one of the poorer counties in the state, but has a great big government site. I mean, Arco was the first city, and if you look it up, it was the first city in the world to be lit by atomic energy. But they don't want to live out that way. They'd soon be here. Yeah, we've never had, we do have a problem, and I shouldn't say a problem. The homeless around here, you don't have as many around here as some areas you have. Because I got to admit, around here, that's one thing. People try to take care of people. Not everybody, but a good part of them do. I put my wife and I put up three different people in our homes because they had nowhere to go. One of them was my son-in-law's sister, but they all wound up getting their own place later on. Another one was a lady that my wife went to school with, and another one was just a person that my wife worked with her sister and that, but that's sad. And you've lived through it too, Dave, is the winter thing. That's got to be one of the awfulest feelings you can have, happen to do that. Because winter, even in Milwaukee, would be so hard to deal with. And you got various aspects of people that are homeless, that's some are by no means of anything they actually did. I worked with a guy, he probably somewhere in California, and I don't know where. This has been quite a few years ago. He was homeless for over a year, and he decided his friend or somebody told him Idaho he could get a place and wouldn't cost him an arm and a leg. And he moved here, and I mean, once he got here, got a job, he was okay. That's good that they let you sleep in them places, you and your brother. You know, sometimes we have to fight the bad to get to the better. And you and your brother have accomplished that, even though you want more and stuff. You have really did good. Of course, you like everybody else, you have people want to harass, but yes, that is a man of God, unlike some people. You know me, and I believe in God, but to me, if you're out there preaching Christianity and you have no backbone to back it up and you're using it for money, you're not a Christian. You're using God to get your real God, which is money. And I hate that. Well, even some pastors, you see how much they make and what they take off the top makes you sad that that happens. A real Christian, a real pastor will try everything in the world to help you. They don't find things to try to destroy you. Like we know somebody that tries that. It's you know, we have, regardless of what religious belief a person is around here, they all, for the most part, get along. There's always some ego maniac in all of them, but for the most part, they get along really well. The soup kitchen here, there's like 5 or 6 of them that alternate who's cooking and who's running it. There is not one that say, I'm going to do everything. They switch off here. Okay. And that's good though, it's people helping others, and that's a good thing. And there's nothing wrong with going out and helping other people. More people need to do that. What's wrong with helping people? Why have we got into the situation we don't want to help people? I mean, helping people sometimes an inconvenience on your own life, but sometimes you just have to do it. You have to go that route. And I had a neighbor. I really didn't care much for her, but when she had to have her roof repainted and sealed, I went up there and did it for her. Even though she was one of the biggest pains in that area there was, she needed help, and I was willing to help her. Didn't do it, didn't get no money, didn't want no money for it. She just needed it done. She had the stuff, so I did it. So you don't have to like somebody to help them. There's a difference between not liking somebody and hating, though. And growing up, the word hate just never come up a lot in our family. It's funny what we do to in our lives. We perceive things different when we're younger than older. Not that it changes, but that's what happens. When we're kids, we learn, we grow, and we need to learn and we need to grow. As adults, we should have learned some of this stuff, but we have a problem we don't want to learn. And that's on us. That's up on the individual if we don't want to learn. And we all go through not wanting to learn, I guess. Not the right attitude to have, but we do it. Growing up on the ranch, there's a few things I'd miss. Doing a garden. I used to go make my own garden, grow my own stuff. Well, for the family, but I do that on my own later on when there was just me around. And before that, the one place we probably had a quarter of an acre of garden. Some of my brothers and sisters that lived close would come and help us. Matter of fact, I've told this before, but when I was younger, and we had that big garden, and I wasn't supposed to, and I knew it. Me and the dog would sneak off, and I'd go in the garden and eat peas and carrots, and the dog would eat them with me. But the dog would not let me go there alone. He would follow me there. And my dad would go get that damn kid out of the garden. Him and the dog's out in the garden. Then I'd frustrate my dad because the peas and carrots. Hi, Helen. The peas and carrots, I'd go out and eat raw, but when they was cooked, I couldn't stand them. Dad never could get over that. Of course, I eat most things, vegetables raw. I'll even, not a vegetable, but potatoes, I'll eat a raw potato. When I worked at a potato place, I worked downstairs, unloaded the trucks and stuff, so not a lot of people around. Everybody was upstairs working. I'd get me a potato now and then, wash it off, peel it, and eat it. Don't always need it cooked. Of course, I always wanted salt on it, though, so I had salt around. All of us need that. You know, salt's another funny thing altogether. You hear you can't have a lot of salt. Then there's people saying if you don't have enough salt, that's also bad. I'm probably too much into salt, more than likely. I don't use as much as I used to, but I still use quite a bit. Don't use as much hot sauce, though. My stomach says no, no. So how you doing today, Helen? I can't believe it. We got a cool day here today. I'm great too. Just hanging out in the doghouse. Oh, you saving some to share? I don't eat a lot of chicken, but my wife loves it. I'll do hot wings. We'll go down to Albertsons and we get a bag of it's 6 or 8 pieces. I'll have two. You can get it 6 or 8, but I'll have two and she'll eat the rest. Two's just fine for me. Boiled chicken, I don't like at all. Mom used to make chicken and noodles, homemade noodles, and everybody liked them but me. I wouldn't eat them. Chicken soup? Nah, not me. The best, there's 3 soups I really like. I'll eat others, but there's 3 that I really like. Tomato soup with grilled cheese sandwiches or tuna fish sandwiches. I'll, I'll eat broccoli and cheese. I love that. And they used to have one around here called, and they still exist, Wisconsin cheese soup. Nobody has that around here anymore. I'm sure I'll go out of town and probably find it. Yeah, I love the broccoli and cheese. If I buy a bag of that's not in a can, it's broccoli and cheese. And I eat a lot of that. I don't anymore. I used to like making my own chili too. Now, if I want one, I go get it out of a can. But when I was in my 20s to 40s, my chili come out from me cooking it. Yeah, I think out of all of them, though, the powder you make the soup with and all ready to go, definitely more broccoli and cheese than any of the others. I like clam chowder, but I don't want to take the time to make it. So I just go where I know they have good clam chowder. Which beans do you use when you're making the chili? I used to do like the red beans, the or I guess chili beans or whatever. There's like 3 or 4 different ones I'd use. Put some hamburger in it, a few other things, and go to town. I've done that too, and it's turned out pretty good. I do a lot of the red bean and chili, or the red beans and kidney beans mixed together. Once in a while, I've thrown in the black beans. The only thing bad I don't like about the chili out of the can is you just never know the taste varies. To me, the taste of can out of a chili does vary a little bit. I still like it, but I can just, whatever, there's a little bit of different taste. Yeah, that's traditionally what I'd use, the kidney and red beans. Maybe it's an age thing. It seems a lot of things are with, at least with me, things I like and the younger ones. And there's nothing wrong with the younger people, but they go, "You did what? You eat that?" But I always had to have the hamburger in it. And oh, I used to love homegrown cayenne peppers. When I had my own garden growing up, I'd do that when we had almost a quarter acre. There was always cayenne peppers on it. There's all kinds of peppers I like, but I definitely like the cayenne peppers. Just to eat, I like the little yellow peppers. That's what mom used to do is dry them out, and that's why she did it that way. She'd dry them out and she'd have them all year round. And I think a couple of years ago, or 3 years ago, I had a little place. I still have it, but I put some peppers in it, and I had cayenne peppers in that, and it lasted quite a while. I didn't do one this year. Definitely too late to even think about that around here now. Some of that stuff's really good as far as I'm concerned. You know, you can make so much stuff with the cayenne peppers and stuff like that. And a lot of people don't do that anymore. They are living out of a can. You know, another thing I think's interesting and I get a laugh at it, is these commercials are giving these food. You buy these food in a container and it's got your meal already prepped. And to me, that's all they're doing is making a glorified TV dinner that way. And yeah, I eat TV dinners, but the price they're charging for this other stuff, you might as well go get a TV dinner. Oh, yeah. I used to think that was neat. Around here, we got, I'll eat them, but we don't have a whole lot. But sometimes where I'm always cooking, I'll get one out or something. We don't have a lot in the fridge or freezer either. Because, we just don't. They've started putting like beef and chicken or pork and chicken. I don't want chicken in anything. Yeah, I don't think I could handle a TV dinner every day. You know what I like, and they probably still make them, but they're not selling them around here. And that's a you used to get Banquet had a pot pie. It had the fruit in it, like cherries and stuff. And I loved them, but they quit selling them around here. I don't know if they quit making them or nobody around here wants to carry them. But I used to love them. Yeah, I wonder whatever happened to that if they're still in existence. Because they keep changing everything around here. They used to have one, I think it was, yeah, they might not have them anymore. I haven't seen them for a long time. But another thing, and we used to buy it all the time. The Betty Crocker had it. It was cornbread and chili. You cooked up your cornbread and you had everything. You cooked the cornbread up, do the chili. Can't even get that here now, and we ate quite a bit of that. Everything I like, they quit making around here, or go sell it somewhere else. My Rocky Roads, you got to go out of town and buy them. Nobody wants to carry them here. Kroger used to carry them all the time, and they don't. Our Kroger is Fred Meyer's. It's the same thing, but as far in Idaho Falls as big as we're getting or gotten, it's amazing how many grocery stores there's not. There's one that's homegrown. He's got a bunch now, which is Brolam's. We got Fred Meyer's, which is Kroger. We have Albertsons and like three or four Albertsons, one Fred Meyer's. Then you got Walmart. Both Walmarts in town have them, but nothing like a lot of areas. We've never had a Winn Dixie here. We've never had a Myers here. All the good places seem to have gone by the wayside. Now the homegrown one, the guy was from the town about 12, 15 miles away. He's passed, but his kids are doing it, his grandkids. That's a pretty good store, but they use Associated Foods to get a lot of their stuff from. Oh yeah, they don't. You know, and it's one of them things. And I'll admit, I've never been on food stamps in my whole life. I understand people need them and they're there. But one thing about food stamps I think's good, getting the junk food off of them. And Idaho has done that before Trump even wanted to do that. This is something that Idaho's been doing for a couple of years now, trying to get sodas off and chips and stuff like that off, and I think that's good. I think more of it should come off. And I don't care they go out and buy the stuff. That's their own money. They can do with it what they want. But if you're trying to feed your kids, maybe you got to look at things a little bit different. And I that's good, Helen. I think they ought to. Yeah, there's exceptions where you're not capable of working. They're far and few between, but they are there. But most of them can go out and do things, volunteer at the soup kitchen, volunteer to help the city out here and there with their parks and recreation. If you can't work 40 hours, put that little time extra in to give back. I wish we had done that sooner here. I think they all should, if capable, need to work. Now, even some of the others that can't work sure try. And sometimes it don't have to be, and granted, my stepdaughter, which I consider my daughter, isn't on food stamps, but she's in a life care facility, long term care. She can't hardly walk around at all, and she has other problems. But she's out there crocheting and people stuff, giving stuff away. Every time she gets a bunch of crochet stuff, she makes sure everybody around her has stuff. She don't have to, but she's helping. Even something like that, they people can go out and do. It don't take much money. I'm them older people there. She's in her 40s, but them older people there love it. Yeah, 20 hours a week is nothing. They can go out and do that. And like I said, around here, your homeless shelter or your food banks, your the place here, they use a lot of volunteers for the people who need food at noon or whatever. They fix them a meal. And all the churches are involved, so some of the workers can do stuff like that. And if somebody has an event at a park, why not go help clean it up afterwards? The problem is nowadays, even back then to a point, but nowadays They want the money. They don't want to work. They want the food. They don't want to put out the work to get the food. We have actually become not everyone, but we're getting to be more of a lazy society than going out and working for things. We've gotten that bad. It's sad, but it's true. That's like me, okay? I'm in junior high or grade school still, but like fifth, sixth grade. And we used to have these hay bales, and Dad'd feed the cattle, but I had to start rolling them. They were like 100 pounds. But when I first started that, putting them by the loft and that, rolling them over and putting them up for Dad and putting them up for the other guy. Did I have to? No, it was installing you work. And that's the way my mom and dad was. You worked. You didn't have to work a whole lot, obviously, going to school and that, but you still did something. You didn't sit around and do nothing. When I do the hay bales, and I did get money for that, but stuff around the house, you did stuff. You went out and did everything you could for yourself. We were never raised to live off of somebody else. As hard as it was at times growing up, food wise, we always had food. Don't get me wrong there, but there's always something extra you want. You deal with what you have. The potholders probably went over really good. Now, if my stepdaughter didn't live in a long term facility, I think that's probably what she would be doing. Because before that, she would do that around the apartment buildings. People would come and want her to make them a set. But really, these younger people, and I'm not criticizing younger people for being younger. We all were there. We all get to be older. Is there's just no imagination anymore? A lot of it, and it's not technically the kids' fault. It's what is going on. Like you got video games all over the place, so that's all they want to do. The parents are not sitting there and saying, "No, you're going to go do this." They let them sit there and let video games babysit them. And yeah, a lot of them use that for exactly that. My mom, she used to make quilts and everything else for everybody. I got a sister that'd do the same thing, but it was for her family. But my mom sometimes would make them for other people. Yeah, no 5-year old would ever had a cell phone in my house. That would not have happened. But yeah, I know this way. Well, her and her mom worked at the restaurant together, and she's younger, in 20s, but her kid has a cell phone, iPad, whatever, and uses it all the time. And I just scratch my head and I'm like, not me. I'd definitely go a different way. And that is a problem. That cell phone in that kid's hands just a play toy to babysit them. And you're not learning them how to do nothing. Because a lot of them, even some of the older ones, they want everything. given to them. They have no comprehension of what working for something means. They've given up on the idea of working for something because I don't blame them in the way that it was how they was brought up. If you don't teach somebody something as a general rule, there's always exceptions, but if you don't teach a kid something as a kid, what they do when they get older, they think is norm. They don't realize how much it's not norm. And I've actually seen, okay, Dave, I ain't gonna be on too much longer anyway, but you know, and that's the problem a lot of times. You and I don't have nothing against these games out there or nothing, but they're not learned right because they don't know the difference between right and wrong. And it's not their fault, it's how they're being raised. Sometimes you're raised right and do stupid things and go off of what you should. That happens too. But I don't mind some of these watching some of these video games. I don't play them. I don't have the patience. That is true, Helen. Some do know right from wrong and just don't want to do right. And it still goes, a lot of these people that do that, it does go back to money. I'm one that always said, I want everybody to go out and make as much money as they can. But in this case, there's ethics involved. And it's sad it happens, but it does happen. Stupid wasp. A wasp just tried to kiss me. You know, sometimes regardless of what you do, you're in a bad spot. You just are. But sometimes you do know right from wrong and you just decide you're going to do wrong. It's sad, but it's what takes place. I hate wasp. He come landing on my arm. I got him before he kissed me. And we have a problem this year. Every now and again we have them. We have these tree bugs. They just come out of nowhere from around the trees. And they'll get on me here and there. Not a lot, but they do. And first thing you do is you smack them. And them things stink so bad when you smack them. You don't even think about it. You just do it. That's just, I hate wasps so bad. 2 years ago, that they were around here so bad. Yeah. Yeah, you don't even think about it. Like, these tree bugs around here do stink. It's just natural reaction is you swat them. Then you're like, oh my God, why did I do that for? Yeah, sometimes your reaction is faster than thinking. At least it is for me. Yeah, Dave, you should go on Guapo's live. I might even swing over there for a few minutes when it's on. Not that he knows who I am, but I like listening to him now and then. I listen to several people that there's some I like listen to better than others. Guapo, I like listening to him, but sometimes it's a matter of one I'm on or one I'm around as one of the big reasons sometimes I don't listen to him. But I like what he does. He's a happy person. He's very joyful, and he just loves life itself. And I like people like that. From what I know of him, obviously I've never met him. He seems to be a good man. He is another one that's gone through a lot with a certain person. That other certain person, I don't even click on his channel regardless of what he says. I used to watch the storage units because old things always interest me, but I don't do that anymore with him. That is very true. I've seen his mother on a couple of his deals. He's got a good mother. Yeah, this person went down the dark path due to dollar signs. And this is my opinion. He decided to worship the dollar over Christianity, which he said he believed in. And I have a personal problem with that because my mom was 100% Christian. And I mean, she lived it. As far as her kids went, she knew that if you're a real Christian, a person has to make their own choices. And she lived by that. And her kids, when we got older, younger, you had to go with her when she went to church, was up to you, not her. That was your decision, and she would not push it one way or another because she wasn't going to make that decision for you. Younger, yeah. And I see this other person, and it just irks the hell out of me because I know how a true Christian lives. She didn't consume alcohol. She did not hardly do any caffeine. I mean, there's pop here and there. She'd drink to have it. She'd get up every morning, make my dad a pot of coffee, and she would never drink coffee. And in her eyes, now she's only 5'1" and a redhead, a real redhead, but in her eyes, she had to live her religion the way she had to, and she followed her religion. And she did not believe now is a different time, I grant you that. And she lived until she was 93. But she would not back down from what she believed at all. And she believed that, in the fields and stuff, you'd have to put a pair of pants on or something. She believed a female was to wear a dress, not pants. And she lived that. I have seen her, well, at the time in pants because of where we lived, but it wasn't a lot. And when she didn't need them on, they come off and the dress come back on. Yeah, that's kind of funny though. I've never, that was my mom's thing with the dress, and she really lived that. Me, it didn't matter. A female wanted to have a pair of pants on, whatever, it's whatever. But it's amazing how many back in the day, how many, and it wasn't one religious belief. The majority of the religious beliefs believed you went to church, you didn't wear pants. Over the years, they've changed, but that's one thing that they really pushed a lot of the religions out there. I'm not saying they're right or wrong, that's just something they did. Yeah, I did too. Some you can tell some of them that really got into it, the suits, the whole bit. Even some of the females I see has really, really nice pants on, all dressed up, and that's good to see that. As a kid, you don't think of stuff like that though. It's I'm gonna wear this. I'm gonna do this. I used to do that. Not that I ever wore a dress in my life. It was so much fun though with my mom. Like I said, she's 5'1" and a redhead. She could be the most loving, but boy, you did what she said. There was no two ways about it. You'd get a spanking if you didn't. And you knew it. It wasn't a threat with her. She said, knock it off or you're getting a spanking. That means she wasn't going to warn you again. You had your warning. No, our mothers would not. Now you see these people going out, even older people, they put on their damn pajamas to go out to the store. That's always got me. Oh, yeah. They make fun of the redheads of what they did, but believe me, I know for a fact that redheads, you do what they want, at least as mothers. There's no compromising. I know a lot of times I've gotten in trouble and ignored her, which was a bad thing to do. I bet all of us been in some situation with that. But I tell you what, she was, and I really didn't realize this because ignorance as a child. When I graduated school, even to this day, people that knew my mom, they'll say how much they miss her. And it's something as a kid you don't realize because growing up, she was just my mom. She was nothing more than my mom, and I loved her. But when you hear all these other people say how nice and what they really thought of my mom, and like I said, it's just something you never really thought about because you're a kid. And as a kid, you just look at your mom as a mom, even though you love them. After dad died of quite a few years, and my Mom died of B-cell cancer at 93. She did live. My younger sister, she was living with her, and her husband had Alzheimer's, and when he passed, she had to redo everything. So my mom come and lived with me for a year till my sister got back up on her feet. And that year was the greatest year. But, it's morbid, funny, and everything else this. At that age, when you go into her room, you look, see if she's still breathing. You shouldn't do that, but your mind, that's the first thing you're looking at. Might not have should have done it, but that old, she's still breathing. Yeah, for somebody that's 5'1" and had 10 kids, that's pretty good. Yeah, as much as we thought the moms and dads were mean, we just didn't realize. Here's the one thing my dad would have done. If if what kids do now, if I would have told my dad if he spanked me, I was going to turn him into the police. We would have took a long drive. My dad would have spanked me right then. Wouldn't even argued. Then he would have grabbed me and said, "Let's go to the police station." And when you get through talking to the police, when you get home, you'll get another spanking. Them wasn't words. Them was actions that would have been taken. So the kids that get away with that stuff now would have never, ever worked with my dad. A matter of fact, and it embarrassed my sister-in-law. It embarrassed my sister-in-law and her one boy and my sister. They come and got mom and took her to Salt Lake, spent a couple of days there with them. Well, they went in the store, and this one nephew of mine uh, didn't know how to behave. He wasn't that old, maybe 3 or 4, probably closer to 3. And he would always act up and he was going at it good. Right in the middle of the store, my mom grabbed him and spanked his ass, and my sister and my sister-in-law was in sure panic that somebody was going to turn her in for that. And my mom looked at him and said, "That kid is going to listen to what I say." Says, "If they want to come and get me and take me to jail, that's fine. I'll do it again." That kid was the best kid. He never once acted up if my mom was around in the store with him. And my sister-in-law says he quit acting up. Take him in the store, and he'd go, "You want me to tell grandma?" And he'd knock it off. Yeah, you never mess with a redhead. Well, I guess I better get going. I gotta go get something for my wife. Thanks for you guys for stopping in. I appreciate it. Yeah, my wife goes in the 18th, get a new knee. I hope everything goes good.